The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
One day, when John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, some people came and said to Jesus, "Why is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not?" Jesus replied, "Surely the bridegroom's attendants would never think of fasting while the bridegroom is still with them. As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they could not think of fasting. But the time will come for the bridegroom to be taken away from them, and then on that day they will fast. No one sews a piece of unshrunken clothes on an old cloak. If he does, the patch pulls away from it, and the new from the old, and the tear gets worse. And nobody puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is lost, and the skins too. No, new wine, fresh skins." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
A lot of mix-up today in the Gospel about fasting, about new wine, about a new wine skin, fresh skin, fresh wine, and what is there to be made out of this? The disciples of Jesus are being accused of not fasting, and Jesus wants to remind the people who are asking this question of the new relationship that has been established between God and humankind. And he makes an analogy of marriage. Okay. The relationship between us and God is a relationship of marriage, the bridegroom and the bridegroom's attendant. And because, and then when you want to put this now in terms of old wine, and old wine skin, new wine skin, new wine should not be put into old wine skin. It's talking about the old mentality of the people who feel right from the time of the Old Testament, they feel that God is far, and we have to do something in order to attract God, in order to win God's favor. So we have to get into fasting. In those days, there was even a tradition of people whipping themselves and slashing themselves, cutting themselves up as a sign of penance in order to win God's favor. And this is what Jesus wants to change in their mentality. No, this is not the old way. This is not, you cannot put this new wine, this new teaching, this new relationship that I have with human beings, the relationship of marriage, into old wineskin, the old wineskin of thinking that it is by our own effort, it is by our own strength, it is by our own initiative that we win God's favor. And that is the real difference. And this is what Jesus talks about, new wine and old wineskin. And in the first reading, we hear of him as the intercessor. He is the new high priest. It's not like the high priest of old who had to do intercession over and over, who had to come into the temple with bloods of animals in order to intercede for the people. No, he has made one perfect sacrifice for each and every one of us. The sacrifice not of goats, not of cows, not of animals, but the sacrifice of his own life. And that is why he's referred to as the true high priest of the order of Melchizedek, whose priesthood is forever. We don't need to go to other animals or to other priests for intercession, because he has lived to make the most perpetual, the last sacrifice for us, the sacrifice of blood, the blood of his own body. And so Jesus, through this sacrifice, has united himself with us. He has united himself with humankind. And this is what he tells his executioners and the people who have come asking him questions about fasting. And he says, no, there is something new here. Please, it is not about your initiative. It is not about you slashing yourself. It is not about you feeling that it is through fasting that we are going to get redemption. It is through my hard work that I'm going to do all this. No, it is through what God is doing through us. So this is what we have to be open to as Christians. It is not about what we do. It is not about our initiative. It is not about how hard we are working to get salvation. It is about God working through us. And for us to be able to recognize that, to know that it is God doing everything through us. Whatever thing we do, no, it doesn't matter. Whatever thing we do in this life, we must be able to recognize as Christians that it is God doing this through us. So the glory is not about me. The glory is not to me. The glory is not to what I have done or say, I managed to do this, now I'm a good Christian because I did this. No. What God is doing through us. And if we come to the real details of everything, why we are even here for Mass, is it by our own efforts? Why we think about the good of others? Why is it that not everybody don't think about that? Why only you? Why is only you that thinks about forgiving your brother and your sister? Why is it that other people seek revenge? Why is it that we think about peace and other people are thinking about violence? What is it that brings that light in us to do the good? It is the grace of God. Yesterday I received news that there was a priest who was burned to death in Africa. Why would somebody think about that? A terrorist, just get a priest, an innocent priest, and burn him to death. Why would people think about that? And why are you thinking differently? And then we'll come to realize that we have been given something special and something different from every other person. And that is to live the real Christian life. So when we live Christian life, when we do the good, when we do other things, let us realize it is the grace of God. It is the Spirit of God that is helping us to be able to do that. And this is the real question. It is not about fasting. It is not about doing. It is not about our hard work. It is about what God is doing in us. And we can only live to this grace if we come to recognize that everything that happens to us, it is about God's grace and God's love for us.